March Madness is truly madness. All we're seeing is upset after upset after upset. From Oral Roberts to the Kansas City Jayhawks losing. This is crazy. But what is spurring all these upsets? And the simple answer to that is simple. COVID. The players don't have COVID. Experiencing the aftermath of COVID. A lot of guys don't have the same trainers that they had due to the pandemic. They're not allowed to go to some of the same gyms that they were used to. Some guys are not used to the less crowd participation and the crowd amping them up. Even though a lot of the games are played at neutral sites, the fan crew rocking and left and right, causing a ruckus is a thing. Home court, home field advantage is a thing. Your crowd traveling with you is a thing. And COVID essentially stopped that. So all the advantages that a lot of these D1 schools would have, facing opponents and things like that, it's not there anymore. These guys have been pampered in a sense to where they expect certain things. Athletes are creatures of habit. So now they're out of their element because COVID gets them out of their habits. You know, they can't touch certain things, tap certain stuff, or congregate before a game as much as they would like to. That taking them out of their element has messed with their psyche. Therefore, when they get on the court, some of the best teams, they're not even clicking the right way. COVID has affected practices where teams can't practice nearly as much as they want to and get that continuity. So what happened is now the teams that didn't have a shot, COVID essentially equalized the playing field, because you got to remember, these high-ranked schools, they have a lot more funding to really plug into the basketball program. Due to the pandemic, some things have to get cut back due to rules and restrictions. Now some of these schools like Oral Roberts, okay, now we practice on the kind of the same courts. Now we have the same kind of playing time. Now we have the same kind of restrictions. So now it's like an even playing field. Now it comes down to who's hungrier. And these teams that are upsetting the bigwigs, they're hungrier. They were disciplined. It's not what you do in front of people, but it's what you do when they're not watching. And clearly, these teams that have been getting upset when we weren't watching, they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And that's why they're losing these games. These games where they're supposed to dominate, supposed to be a landslide, they're the ones that's getting blown out. So it's quite crazy to see this, but the pandemic really has been the great equalizer. If you think about it overall, now instead of like we're worrying about who has the latest car, the latest trends, or the latest fashion, people are reduced down to basic things. Toilet paper, paper towels, food. We're reduced down to some of the simplest things. And then now you're seeing like, when it's no longer the tethers of high society and it's basically boiled down to the basics, you're seeing a lot of people fold. And that's what we're seeing here today. That's why, if you take it to the NBA sense, the championship LeBron James won is one of the hardest championships to ever win, because you're taking guys that are creatures of habit out of what they're supposed to be doing, and you force them into a bubble or into a different scenario, and for them to rise to the top and still perform, it shows a lot of mental fortitude, and it shows that's why these guys get paid the big bucks, because they're professionals. You're looking at these guys, which are young men, but they're still kids. They can't deal with this, and that's why they're getting upset, because they can't deal with the pandemic, and they gotta play basketball, and they gotta play in an environment that they're not used to. And that's why we're seeing all these upsets, ladies and gentlemen. Hoops Junction, where Hoops meets Hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.